Ok, muy buenas noches, amigas y amigos de toda la República Mexicana y a quienes nos ven por allá en el exterior, en los Estados Unidos, nuevamente aquí con su programa que llevamos a cabo cada mes y en el cual tratamos de traer grandes personalidades, gentes que nos puedan dar ideas, que nos puedan dar pensamientos, que puedan orientarnos en nuestro quehacer diario. En esta ocasión tenemos un personaje verdaderamente destacado, a Isha Judd, que es maravillosa. And now I'm going to turn into English. She's written a few books, all of them bestsellers, like Vibración del Amor, which speaks to citizens, to global citizens around the world, and let us know how the world is going to be changed by this citizens full of love, full of action, full of compassion, and books like ¿Por qué caminar si puedes volar? Why to walk if we can fly? And she there liberates all of our energy, all of our spirit, all of our capacity to meditate, and all of our capacity to do good things for the globe, for ourselves, for our families. Vivir para volar, otro libro, en fin, famosa, profunda, comparte todo su corazón, sus conocimientos with everybody. So, Isha, welcome to our program. We're so proud to have you here. I have not forgotten your huella that you left here in Centro Fox when you came for a seminar. I just can't forget that. It was so instructful. It was so full of contents. And so thank you for that. Now, Isha, tell the audience, what are you doing now? What is your main core of things that you're doing today?
My main focus at the moment is, as always, on the expansion of consciousness, teaching people to love themselves, to be authentic, to be in the present moment, and start trying to teach people that it's not about what we're achieving, it's about what we're being. Like to learn to be very present, to be giving the best of ourselves, but more importantly, to be finding that internal place of security and love that we can take with us everywhere, no matter what's transpiring in the world. And, obviously the world's going through a lot of changes. This is happening to everyone. We've all been forced into situations that we could never, ever have anticipated. And I think we realize that we have to find something that's permanent in a world that's forever changing. And that is internal. I had the good fortune to find internal peace and joy and to live in that space after I went through a lot of suffering. And for me, it's the most important thing I can possibly have because it allows me to ride the storm. It allows me to flow with life. And it allows me to be authentic. And I think we spend so much time looking for external approval and ratings and people to love us that we often lose our own authenticity, our own clarity, and our own integrity, for want of a better word. So that's what I'm doing.
Fantastico, fantastico. How do you execute all this transference of spirituality, knowledge, love, compassion? How do you execute? What's the way you meet with people, or how do you let people know about all of these great things?
Well, I have a lot of books, and I also do a lot of events. Obviously with the pandemic, I've had a lot of people in my center because they've been in quarantine now, but they've come for long periods of time, like 6 months, and doing a lot of internal work, releasing a lot of stress and anguish and past experiences, and really expanding their consciousness and learning to live with other people, learning to let go of judgments, just growing as a group. Like I've had a group of 150 people in my center in Indonesia working very intensely on healing, and really finding peace and joy within this difficult situation. I'm also doing a lot of events. I'm doing through Zoom and interviews, and just trying to talk as much as I can, because people got very afraid, obviously, and to just tell people, even though it looks bad, it's not bad. It's just something new that we have to adapt to, and we have to find something that we can feel secure with. And the interesting thing was as well, I mean, with the pandemic, we got locked into situations where we couldn't escape. Like we were in quarantine with our families and the children and in relationships that normally we'd be escaping from. And I said to everyone, if it's in front of you, it's yours, and you have to find a way to love it. And you have to heal your deep personal relationships through healing yourself and through seeing that, you can't keep running away from the most intimate aspects of your lives. So most of this, I've been doing this through Zoom, lots of conferences and lovely interviews like you're giving me now, which is great. Lots of people have really stepped up because of the situation to give to humanity. And it's been a big growth and very beautiful, to see so many people doing wonderful things just to give. So that's what I've been doing too, trying to give as much as I can.
So right now, to look for your programs or seminars or Zooms, you subscribe where, and where do you find out what the programs are about and when are they carried on?
Okay, well, if you go into ishajud.com, everything's there. And I also have a lot of movies and ways that people can learn online too. But if you want to do it personally with me or with a teacher, you can go into ishajud.com and all the information's in the page. But we're having a lot of people coming to us in the end of March for a month. Because of the quarantine, they have to come for a month. So we're looking forward to a lot of people visiting the center in Indonesia, and a lot of people coming and staying for a month and learning the seminar, meditating, doing yoga, eating healthily, and learning the Isha system, learning to transform their lives. So even with the COVID, we're still moving forward at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. In Manzanillo, you have facilities. You host the people there, or they go to a hotel?
No. I have a big center. We have a center for 140 people, and which is important, because they come in and they stay there because people can't go out again with, they have to be lots of health restrictions and tests and everything. But once they're in there, they're fine and they really enjoy themselves. We've been having a fabulous time, really.
It's usually individuals, or it's couples, for instance, or families, or how do you, what's your kind of audience that comes to you?
Everything. You can't imagine. We had families of 5, mothers, daughters, fathers, children, lots of young people. It's interesting, we have a lot of young people that are looking for consciousness, looking for a new way of being, but very young, they're like very smart and switched on, and they realize that we have to change. You know, it's pretty clear that we need to start changing. We need to be more holistic. We need to be more environmentally conscious. You know, the old sort of the baby boomers, we're a dying breed. We have to, we have to start thinking a bit differently. And this is within a modern world, no? But obviously we need to do things a little bit differently than what we used to do, including myself. You know, I have to change too.
Okay, for the help of our audience, consciousness is become a big word on this very special world of good things to happen to you, to yourself, to your family, to your community. Can you describe further what consciousness means? What is a state of consciousness? Or
Yeah, sure. Okay, so when I talk about consciousness, I talk about love consciousness. And love consciousness is a very deep, profound feeling of joy and peace. And it's in us. When we're children, we experience it all the time. Like we're very innocent, we're in the present moment, and we find wonder in the world. But as adults, we're always looking externally for love. We're always looking externally to achieve and like get approval. We lose this internal connection. And this connection is so vital because when you're in the present moment, when you're anchored in this place of peace and joy, you can start to say yes to life. You can start trusting in life. And you can also start to see the beauty of life. You know, everything on the planet vibrates in love consciousness except for the humans. And the reason is, and you know, you're an animal man, you know horses, you know a lot about animals, and you watch them. They're always in the present moment and they're flowing. Humans are always in their heads and stressed. And once we learn to be anchored in this place of internal peace and joy, we start to give that love, but we also start to flow from a place of love instead of always doubting and fearful and not trusting. And when we find this internally, and it's easy to find because it's always been there, you know, we just have to go in and learn to connect with ourselves. And that's done through, I have a system to do that, but you do it through meditation. You know, some people just do it. It's very important to just be happy being with you. So it's really, consciousness is love, but it's a very powerful thing. It's not something, it's something very concrete. It's not like ethereal or exalted. It's something very here now, and I'm anchored here now, and I'm enjoying being here now, 100%. Yeah.
Isha, we have to go to a break. Very quick.
Okay.
10 minutes have gone over now.
Okay, thank you. I wait.
Okay, Isha, we're back again. As your description of consciousness, the other word I hear frequently is healing. To the traductora, can she tell us what is healing in Spanish? And then you give us the description of healing and what is an important part of the program.
Sanar.
I understand what healing is. Oh, okay. So the thing is this, you know, we experience so much throughout our lives, and most of the time we start to believe it's who we are. Like we have a window of perception about ourselves, and this window has nothing to do with the truth. What this window is an accumulation of incidents, belief systems, stresses, all the things that have transpired, you know, from when we're small children. And we start to believe that there's fundamentally something wrong with us. So when we start to go inwards, we start to release all these memories, these stresses, and we start to question our ideas and belief systems, and we start to connect again with ourselves. But this is a process. I mean, it's many years of accumulating stress, many years of accumulating fears and doubts and ideas about ourselves that hold us in limitation and stop us from being free. And lots of physical stress as well. So when we start to connect internally, we start to move all of this and we start to find a place of emptiness, of consciousness. And the more we focus on that place, we're elevating our vibration, and all the other stuff just starts to leave, and we start to realize that it has nothing to do with who we really are. It's just what's transpired throughout our lives. But who we really are, that true essence of that internal love and peace, was always there. And we start to come back to that. Now, people do lots of therapies and different things to become conscious of things that have happened in their lives. And what I do is my work's more energetic. It's just about focusing on love. And that vibration's so high that it just starts to move all the low vibrational stress out and expand the experience. But, you know, people have to look deeply at themselves. You know, there's a bit of work to be done if you want to live in plenitude and joy. It's not just a magic wand. You have to really have a good look at yourself and say, now, who do I want to be? Because, you know, often we put so much emphasis on achieving and doing. And I mean, I'm exactly the same. But we lose that equilibrium. It's not that there's something wrong with that, but there has to be a balance. You know, we can't just get tunnel vision in that defining ourselves through what we've achieved. We also have to know who we are.
Yeah, I got it. Now, all of this is meditation in general, is meditating, but meditating profoundly also takes a lot of time and a lot of learning of how to do it.
No, I teach facets, which are very simple, and you think them. They're phrases. Praise love for this moment in its perfection. Example. So when you think that, and the thoughts come, and then you come back to the facet, the thoughts come, you come back to the facet, and it's very easy. You know, people often say, oh, you need to meditate, you need to go to a place of no mind. But if you're full of stress and your head's going at 100,000 thoughts a day, it's absolutely impossible. You need something that works with the thoughts so you can just release the stress naturally. And then later, maybe you can sit in a place of no mind. But initially, people are up to here with stress, and there's no way that they can just sit there and not think. It's impossible. So as we start to expand our internal consciousness, it starts to become easy. It's something that can be very pleasant. It doesn't have to be a torture, you know. And I always say the system that I teach is for busy people with modern lives, because I'm very much a modern woman. You know, I'm moving all over the world, and, you know, people can't go up to the mountain. I mean, we need to have something that can accommodate our active modern life. So I don't think what I teach is not very difficult. It's something you can do at any moment.
So, Isha, day by day, life is becoming more complicated, more busy, more stressful for us human beings. And the more we need to go back to this kind of exercises, to go back to calm, peace, harmony. Uh, is that really progressing? The evil part of this, the complications for human beings is progressing. It seems to be like that. And how do we stop that? And how do we come back to getting rid of that stress, getting rid of those preoccupations, healing ourselves?
I think it has to become something habitual. You know, we exercise every day, we eat every day, and we need to go in every day. And I think when people start to do it, they start to see that they were never present in the moment. They were never having intimate relationships because they're not present with the people they're communicating with. They're not present at work. They're not, and when they start to do this, they start to realize that when I'm present, things can be so much easier. Things start to flow. I communicate better. I can see people afresh. Like when I start to let go of stress and I change, all my relationships change. And as soon as you start to do it, you do start to see the benefits straight away. And I think with the pandemic, people have started to realize that they have to elevate their immune systems. They have to be healthier. And, you know, we're chasing illusions all the time. And often we're not even enjoying all the things we have because we're chasing something else, you know? And coming back to the present moment is we have to educate the children to do this. We have to educate ourselves to do this and to really see the beauty of the world. I mean, because we live on such a superficial level because we're always in our heads. But when we start to anchor and be in our hearts, just normal people, I'm not talking about becoming a hippie. I'm talking about being here, being now, and really connecting with every part of your life and your health, you know, all of it. It starts with relaxation.
But you mentioned there is some learning to be done even when you're a kid, even when you're in basic school. But these opportunities of learning about this um, kind of behavior is not in a school. Schools don't teach.
No. I'm implementing an education system now in schools which teaches children many fundamental things. You know, it teaches them to go in and connect with themselves. It teaches them to communicate with each other. It teaches them to take responsibility for their own emotions and to move their emotions, not to be projecting them on top of each other all the time. So we have bullying and all the other things that transpire in schools. And I really am advocating that when we teach this in schools, we create human beings that are more complete within themselves. Like they have the capacity to communicate. They have the capacity to speak what's happening for them. They have the capacity to be the best of who they are. And because the thing is we teach them fear at school, and we have to teach them something much deeper than that in the education process. And, you know, you can have the rest of everything else, but they have to have some form of internal security. And the only way is that children maintain that inert experience of consciousness that they already had. We're actually not teaching them anything. We're just sustaining. This is real sustainable development. We're sustaining what they already have. It's natural. You know, you have lots of children and you watch them. They're always in the moment. They're very present. They speak the truth. They communicate with each other. They don't have judgments. We teach them all that.
but you teach to a few. What about the rest, the mass?
Well, I
The
have to, well,
million? How should we first start convincing or teaching the teacher so that he can at least handle these issues in the classroom with the kids?
this is what we do. We teach the teachers to teach the children. We don't actually teach the children. We educate the teachers to do this themselves, and then they implement it into the classroom. And it's been amazing the results we've had. Like the children, we did put it in some orphanages, and the children, instead of that peer group pressure and bullying, the children were the opposite. The new kids would come and they'd teach them how to do the Isha system. They'd teach them how to express. They'd teach them how to meditate. You know, it depends on what you teach them initially as to what they decide to do. I think it's, yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
It is.
Preoccupation is how can we really extend this kind of programs? I don't know, in Mexico, where we have 1.5 million teachers and 30 million students in schools, because this will be maybe much more important than mathematics or language, or if we can teach the kids to be good kids, to be happy kids, to be
yes,
kids with harmony, that will do it for the world.
Well, you know, it's an interesting thing in Mexico because I did a conference about this, and many Mexicans came to talk about it, what they were doing. And there's a lot of very progressive people in Mexico that have ideas about the education systems that want to implement change. And I think with the right support, it will continue to grow. Obviously, it's a process, no? You know, the change doesn't come quickly. But if we start with the children, I think it can happen realistically, because children are very smart. You know, they know what's real and they know what's not.
Great. Isha, I'm sorry, but we have to go back to a break. So we've done two
Okay, it's okay.
segments. In a minute, we will be right back. Okay, Isha, let's continue. Pandemia, this mammoth problem that arrived to Earth. Nobody expected it. It's a great surprise, but it's been an incredible problem for families, for persons, for schools, for everybody. This changed the way you are doing your programs, and maybe you're writing a book with the consideration of the pandemic, because I think the minds, the even love has changed dramatically in this part. What do you see? What is the change? How do we navigate through it? And then what you expect when all this is finished, if ever?
You know, I think humans have to appreciate their fragility, and they have to have more respect for what they have. And I think it's made us very conscious of how fragile we are, how we can lose the people we love, how we're not caring for the planet, how we're very focused in the wrong direction. And I know that a lot of people are experiencing a lot of fear, and sadly, lots of people have lost a lot of people close to them. I've been through lots of traumatic things in my life, and the important thing is that when these things transpire is that you use them to become more. You use them to take a very deep look within and say, well, this isn't an external problem. This is an internal problem because it's affecting me. How can I change? And I think as a global citizens, we have to realize that we're no longer separate little entities and separate little countries. We are global citizens and we have a global problem. And globally, we have to come up with a solution. And each human has to ask themselves, what is my solution? Because we can't keep looking outwards. And, you know, we have to take responsibility for the change. You know, we can't keep blaming the outside. We can't expect, you know, the leaders to come up with all the solutions. It's impossible. This is clearly, and this is obvious. We as individual humans have to grow up. And for me, that's the most of the work that I'm doing. I'm saying, well, look at yourself and see, how can I be more? How can I change? How can I make new choices? And how can I appreciate what I have? How can I elevate my immune system, like be healthier in my head and in my body? And how can I be more loving with the people that are around me and more supportive? I think we need to learn to give more. We have to make other people important, because we're not separate. And, you know, when I talk about this education system that I'm doing, it's also a very important aspect of it is the joy of giving and the capacity to give to each other, like to support each other. And this is fundamental. We can't keep being little, you know, snails in our shells. We have to start realizing we have a problem. So we have to fix it. And actually, I'm doing a movie at the moment. I'll tell you this quickly because it's a kids' movie. And it's talking exactly about this. It's a cartoonish, it's an animated movie. And it's teaching children to take responsibility and changing themselves, like to stop blaming the evil outside or the badness outside and find those places in themselves and start loving and healing them. And I think that this pandemic is creating a new vision, you know, for all humans that are intelligent, you know, and realize that, well, we do have to change. We can't just keep doing the same old things. So, you know, I know it's been very disruptive. It's incredible what it's done. No one could have anticipated. And there's a lot of sadness involved. I appreciate that too. I mean, it's easy to be a spiritual teacher and say, well, you have to, but I appreciate that people lost a lot and they couldn't be with the people they loved when they were leaving. Horrible things happen. But we have to use all of this to be more.
Yeah, I catch you on the sense that there is a diagnosis of what you see, the problem that it has provoked, the way it has affected all of us, physically, spiritually, and everything else. So we know that. Number two, you know how to at least, if not fix, at least to manage to go through the problem. But finally, most of us need somebody to tell us these great ideas, these advices, to take care of ourselves, because many of us do not have either the time or we don't have the learning. You say that we respond, that kids especially respond, but how can we massify more and more of this knowledge, of these advices, of these procedures to handle our problems in the pandemic? And then I always have thought that you must develop character, you must develop internal strength, because this kind of problems will repeat and repeat again and again. So we should be, in a way, blindados, prepared for. So it's two things. One, how do I come out of the problem successfully? And number two, how I prepare myself for next events that would do harm to me.
Firstly, we have to get rid of the stress. We have to elevate consciousness. We have to look after our health. And more importantly, we have to let go of fear, because fear it's all here. And this is what kills us. It's this massive fear of not trusting, not flowing, not adapting. Like, I'm traveling all over the world. I haven't stopped. I'm careful, obviously, I'm mature, I do all the precautions, but because I'm not experiencing fear, I have the capacity to flow. And when you have the capacity to flow, to look after yourself physically, to eat well, to be vibrating in a high frequency, you're not attracting all of this negativity to you. And I think that all of this that's provoked by a lot of fear, like there's been massive fear in the media and everywhere. And I'm not saying, of course, it's real, it's happening, but we have to go beyond that fear. And how do we get beyond that fear? By going inwards, by letting go of our stresses, and by seeing that, you know, I can't be a prisoner of my world. I have to be the master of my universe. I have to be able to function in the world, but I have to be well, you know? And again, it's taking responsibility for how I am, how I'm being, that's important.
You know, if everybody in the world could hear you and could get the advice and the things you're saying, I think all of us would be much more prepared for healing, much more prepared to confront problems. But what I see in the world I'm in, is very little opportunity to meet with this kind of leaders like you, or to meet with this kind of programs, or to learn where do I go. If I'm in Tepito, Mexico City, and I see this program of Era de Definiciones with Isha, and I get interested, then I have to take action. That's what I see, that we should give the opportunity of people to take action with some learning, with some living some experiences, going to the psychiatrist or going to, I don't know where, because it's not very accessible where to go when we understand and we know that we have all these problems.
Well, you know, I always find that when the student's ready, the teacher appears, no? And we can always find places to learn online. We can find places, well, my webpage gives everything online, so people can learn there. And I think we just have to open our minds, because, you know, we talk about the internet, we talk about everything like it's a distraction, it's this and that, but it's also a phenomenal tool for all humans around the world to be able to receive knowledge and information on how to heal, how to go inwards, how to evolve. Everything's available online. And I think people have to take advantage of that situation. And I think it's more so than before. You know, everyone's focused on holistic being, well-being. And so we can go in, we can read books, we can do courses, we can do everything online. I know on my webpage, everything's available, you know.
YouTube? You're in YouTube?
Yes, lots and lots of talks in YouTube. I have lots in Spanish. Everything's in Spanish. I talk in English, but it's all translated. There's hundreds and hundreds of what I call discourses or Darshans in YouTube, yes.
Okay, so that would be one easy way to get in contact with you, through YouTube, and begin not only our interest in this marvelous things, but also start doing some practicing and some sharing with our family. Isha, unfortunately, we'll run out of time. Do you have any final message for people that is watching us here in Mexico or even in United States? Any final thoughts?
You know, people have to take responsibility for loving themselves. They have to give time to themselves to feel good. Like, we're always chasing things externally, and it's not the most important thing. You know, we think if we give love to ourselves, we're being selfish, but it's not true, because we're the source that everything comes from. So we have to be really well with ourselves, and we have to teach that to the children. You know, we have to take care, we have to be conscious, we have to be present, and we have to give love. And it's wonderful what you're doing. And I think more people need to be doing this, you know. It's like you're a powerful man. You've been the president of Mexico, and now you're doing things to help people spiritually. I mean, what a marvelous thing. And I think there's so many people in power that can be giving more to society because you have the capacity to do it. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, no, you know, Martha and myself, we run.
Yeah.
We're dedicated to do for others. And really, that's the shortcut to happiness. But you need this kind of medicine, this spiritual medicine, this addiction, which is love. When love is present, when love is here, most everything functions within us and outside of us. So thank you very much, Isha. Great thoughts. And we'll see you soon.
And give my love to Marta, your beautiful wife, and thank you both.
Well, thank you. I will.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Gracias.
Gracias.